Hello, Peter, and welcome to MomFit. Please remember to download it. When you download the play, it's also available on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Roku, and Roku. All is not to for the ones that celebrate program, I was typing, let's gonna rock 2022. And then somebody type and say, like, Joe, we are in 2023. So, mama, especially us moms, it's okay. I will give you the blank check to take between 6 and 8 weeks of 2023 to adjust your brain uh, into the change. I don't know how many of you, like when you are writing down 2022 and then, it needs to change the two for a three. So today we're going to be working on something that is being very close to my heart, something that is being learning curve for me, and that I would love for you to actually share with me later on. What are being your insights, your struggles, your challenges, your advice? If you ever want to connect with me, remember, you can do it and at Instagram um, on Instagram. Family and our kids. Plus, we have the aunts and the grandmas and the sisters and the nieces and the nephews and a big team around us supporting us on that challenge. After the Industrial Revolution, where the Industrial Revolution and the wars, the World Wide War, WWW, that the men had to go and fight, and then that pushed women to start going into a field that we never did before, that was start working, because the factories had to still produce and there was no men anymore. There was a abrupt change in how our role in society was, and with and that is that I always say to my moms, it's almost like we have a backpack and then we keep putting things in the backpack. So our backpack was already almost full, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of the clothes, the dishes, the groceries, all that. And then after that revolution, then we start putting also going to work. And then the other thing that is very clear and notorious is that the income parent was enough to keep the entire household. Now around the world is more and more evident that that is not true, and then families are being pushed to having two incomes. So Woman, and this is something that is very important that I want to be very clear with all of you. There are so many reasons why a mom decides to work. A mom can decide to work because she, like I was saying, needs to have extra income with her family for her family to live well. A mom can and want to work just because she loves working and make her feel alive and excited. A mom should could decide to work because she is looking for something else in their purpose. And then there are also moms that choose to not work and that not work outside home, because this is something that I want to encourage all of you. And I want to create this movement of removing the stigma of I'm not a working mom. Because let me tell you a secret. We all are working moms. The only difference is that some of us work in an office, inside or outside the house, for a company that is not, that it could be ours or not ours. And then some of us work in the house and our company is called our home. So the first thing that I want to invite you to do with that is start making that separation end. Because one of the most sad things that I've been learning in the last 2 years of my journey in motherhood is we are very good at tearing apart each other. We are doing the most challenging, hard job in the entire world, and that is have babies, keep them alive, and raise. Um, and because of that, then we should have the support and the help to actually um, have other moms supporting us. And what I've been seeing is the other way. Society is being polarizing us, is being putting us in different pockets for so long that we start creating that our way is the only way, the right way, and we start attacking other moms that look different. So if I am a stay-home mom, then then I am not agree with the working moms, or the working moms think that they cannot relate with the stay-at-home mom. And the first thing I want to give you in this episode is the thought that we all are working moms. We are working on some different occasion, situation, and we are all working moms. But what happened with those working moms? We are not having a good way to balance all those needs and approaches and demands of ourselves. So one of the things that is happening is I was talking about this with a workshop that I did Wednesday on manifestation and goal setting for 2023. And the analogy that I was doing was imagine that you have a computer in 1995. Some of you are too young for that, but 10, 15 years ago, you got a computer. And then you keep upgrading the software of that computer every year, every 2 years, every year, every 2 years. But you never upgrade the hardware of that computer. There is a point that no matter how much your software is upgrade, your computer is going to crash because the hardware is not updated. The same happened with us as moms. We keep putting more things and updating to do more things and update our life and figure out how to have more balls in the air, but we are not working in updating that hardware, that mental strength, that emotional health, that physical health, that are at the end the container that is going to allow that software to keep improving and keep giving results. And the problem with inward and lock us down. And they are emotions that only spiral us down. They are very powerful emotions, but very useless emotions, because the feelings of shame and guilt frees us from problem solving, finding solutions, taking action. And they start actually lock us and freeze us into the past, into allowing ourselves to feel shame and guilt for the things that didn't happen. So, one of the things, the second thing that I want to share with you today is invite you to think what it will look like, what it will look like for you as a mom to write in a little paper shame and guilt, and then go outside, even if it's cold in the winter, like is it right now here in Ohio, and burn that paper and commit this year, this new year, of living your life without shame and guilt. And we are going to be talking about a couple of options that you have, a couple of things that you could do as a working mom. And I will share with you my experience. My experience was that I start having that struggle of how I balance my career, what I love to do, my coaching, my clients, helping people to find their magic and thrive with a tiny little baby. And then if to that we add into the equation that countries like the United States don't even have paid maternity leave, and moms are forced to go back to work after 6 weeks of giving birth, then that creates a complete different level of complexity. And why I'm asking about that, because all of you know, and if you're familiar with it, you know, and if not, if you're new to the channel, there is something that one of my pillar topics of conversation is the fourth trimester. And the fourth trimester are the first 3 months of the baby when the baby is born. And the psychology and the information behind that is that on that fourth trimester, both your body and your baby body still believe that they are one, that they are together. So it's still a part of the pregnancy. It's still a part of the pregnancy where a lot of hormones are going, where a lot of changes are going. And we are discarding that and saying, okay, you almost like you pop your baby 6 weeks later, go back to work. At the 6 week mark, a lot of moms are still struggling with creating a good breastfeeding journey, because breastfeeding take between 12 and 16 weeks to get stable. At 6 weeks, some women are still healing physically from birth, either vaginal birth or C-section. And then they are faced to go into that workforce where the expectation is that we turn And I want you to think about it and think how much you see in your own life and in your friends and family life, small things like the difference in approach for working moms and working dads, the difference in the approach for what is expected from you as a mom and what is expected from your partner if it's a male, if your partner is a male from a dad. And then with that, I'm not talking about this to just have a session of complaining and frustration. I'm talking about that because as more we get aware of where we are, as easier is for us to go beyond that and plan and prepare ourselves to support and to get a better um, understanding of what is in our control. Because one of the hardest things for all of us moms, and again, I'm gonna reinforce this. A working mom is not only the mom that works outside in an office for a company or for their own business. A mom that stay 24/7, I will actually even have the liberty to say that work a little harder because sometimes the moms that work outside home or in their own business get a little more of support from their partners and their family. But sometimes the moms that stay at home and work at home work. But it is how, as a mom, I can stop and remember that I matter. And remember that struggles and challenges are not an indication of how much of a good mom I am. And it actually requires all of us to hold hands. It actually requires all of us to start saying enough is enough. It requires all of us to start pushing from our government to pass laws that support moms, to give us the proper maternity leaves, to give us the proper support when we are going back to work, if we are going to offices. I actually, when I came here, I remember, um, I remember in Colombia. I'm from Colombia, in Cali. One of my friends used to work for Colgate, and Colgate it's an American company, and Colgate in Colombia has a nursery room inside the company. So working moms can bring their babies with them to work, leave them in a nursery room with people that take care of them, and then every couple of hours go there and nurse them, or at breaks and lunch go and spend time with their babies. That is the kind of support that we need. Instead of trying to empower. What do you want? And you're like, it's okay, whatever you want. it is really okay? Or will you have a preference? And then if you have a preference, I will invite you to ask for it. Verbalize your preference, verbalize what you want in the moment. We are something that I work a lot with my private clients is that concept of the good girl syndrome. And the good girl syndrome is one of the worst things that happen to us females for generations. And is that in a patriarchal world, we used to it and we learned that in order to be a good girl, we had to be complacent. We have to not create a lot of problem. We had to agree to things. We had to be the ones compromising. Actually, I was reading an article that I thought was fascinating around this topic. And the topic was around how when kids are growing up, they are proved and show that female brains develop faster than boys or males' brains. That is why a lot of time we say that girls are more mature than boys at the same age. And then the article was saying that we always hear people, society, parents, family telling the girls, oh, you need to understand they are less mature than you. So you need to adjust. How many times we hear them saying to the boys, oh, you need to understand that they are more mature than you? We never hear it like that. We always hear it the other way. So since we are very little, we are conditioning to not feel comfortable and not feel safe asking for what we want and vocalizing how we feel and what we want. And this week, I want to invite you to do it. I want to invite you to see. Uh, I want you to see if you can start asking for what you want. I Give me one second. My guest for today is the beautiful Pauliana, and she is in the West Coast with very bad storms. So she was texting me, so I want to make sure that she is okay. So I want to invite you today to say, what do you want? Um, what do you want, and how you can ask for it? Uh, Give me one second. Um, and then say, for example, one. Ask for a cup of coffee. If you want extra milk, instead of thinking that you're bothering people, instead of thinking that it's going to be hard for people to do it, just ask and say, hey, can I have a little extra of milk? And I know Because a spiral, right? We're used to compromise and comply. And because we compromise and make it work, then there is not even evidence that we need anything else. And then it's a spiral that never ends, where the ones that are going into the thinner part of the process are us. And with that being said, we want to start working on ourselves, start working on dishing that shame, that guilt, and start working into how we can thrive. And one of the things that it was powerful, and I was super happy to have Pauliana here, is one of her phrases that I love is, let's find the bliss, not the burden of being a working mom. And that is powerful because what we are doing is literally magic. What we are doing is true magic, as we are at the same time that we are building these little kids and these amazing children, that we are making these amazing children, we are also creating change in the world. We are also creating magic in the world. So, as a working mom, one of the things that I start doing, and I initially begin to feel a little guilty about it. One of the things that we start doing was I start outsourcing some things. Instead of trying to do it all, I choose to have it all without doing it all. And what I mean with that, I actually put as part of my budget to have things like I make, and then if you never read this book as a working mom, I highly suggest you to read this book, Drop the Ball, from Tiffany Duff. And I did something that she recommend, and that is create a list of all the things that you do on the day, all the things that you do on the day, and then start sitting down with your partner, and if you have close by friends and family, your friends and family, and start thinking with the oil of the cars, the gas of the cars, everything around the cars is my husband. I don't worry about that. And I know that some of you are in a little more challenging situation because you are working moms and then you are also single moms. So you don't have that additional person at home all the time to split. But what I want to invite you to do is start thinking on how you can ask for what you want and what you need. Sometimes we are ashamed. We are ashamed to ask for help. We are ashamed to we are ashamed. Oh, you are here finally. We are ashamed to ask for help. We are ashamed to ask a neighbor or a friend because we say, if I ask for help, then I will not be seen as a good mom. If I ask for help, I'm not doing it right. So let me stop here. Pauliana, I want to first know, I know that you're in the middle of a storm with a lot of things. I'm glad that you are here and that it looks like everything is safe. I'm sorry that it took a little bit to figure out this, but welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. And everything is fine. I'm just going to say ahead of time, your audio cuts out a little bit. So and at some point, if your audio cuts out, I'm just going to keep talking.
That's fine. So,
So,
for everybody, I'm super excited. I was telling you about the phrase of Pauliana. And then her phrase is, let's find bliss, not burden on being a working mom. And Pauliana is a public speaker and a coach, and she teach moms how to have it all, including balance and joy. That is right on my alley of having it all without doing it all. Then, with over 2 decades, 20 years of legal practice representing Fortune 500 companies, and being a super single mom, Pauliana is an expert on obtaining and enjoying both and in life. So she is a true example of you can have it all without sacrificing. Knowing that valuable life lessons come with a bumpy road and a stretching of oneself both personally and professionally. As a high level professional woman, she has learned how she does not have to choose between her job and her kids. We never had to choose, mamas. And she never has to. Paulina speaks to women around the globe and coaches them on how to navigate all the things, finding the sweet spot of stability and joy in life. Now, Paulina helps moms fully enjoy having a work life balance that offer fulfillment in the boardroom as well as in the living room. So, with that being said, Pauliana, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
hello,
And
hello. I'm so happy to be here. If we could start on the last subject you were talking about asking for help. That is very near and dear to my heart because I'm a type A personality. And I tell people, that's right, that's right. So hence we're on this program together. I Part of the things that I talk about is help is a 4-letter word. You know, for years and years and years, I made my life miserable because I refused to ask for help. I refused. And you was already discussed it a little bit. It was like, if I have to ask for help, it's not that I'm just a bad mom. It's that I can't do the mom thing well enough because the mom in the other classroom or the mom down the street or the mom at my work, like she's happy and she's doing everything and her hair looks good and her makeup looks good and her nails look good. I must just be a horrible human being. Um, if I had accepted that asking for help meant none of those things, I probably would have aged less in the last, handful of years. But I used to drive 45 minutes to an hour in crazy Los Angeles traffic just to give my kids a ride home from school, and it was about a mile and a half. There was probably 200 people who could have dropped my kids off, but I didn't want to admit that. I wanted to be the one. I wanted to be the mom in the drive-through lane. I wanted the kids to run up to my car. And some of it, let's be honest, is selfish. You know, you get a fulfillment out of that. And I am a single mom, and I've been a single mom for many, many years. And you can do anything, but not everything. That's a famous quote. I'm going to forget who said it, but it's true. And once you accept that getting help just enables you to be more present and enjoy the things you're doing, it's like an aha moment and a light bulb goes off like, oh my gosh, this is great. You know, if my son has to go to baseball practice and my neighbor next door or across the street or down the street is going too, it would be so great for him just to give, you know, a 6-minute ride to the baseball field. It just means I can get dinner started faster, or I can take my daughter to ballet or whatever she was doing. But you have to get over that mindset. And sometimes it's a hard and expensive lesson because somebody's going to be late, somebody's going to miss a practice, or worse, you, the mom, start falling apart. And there's no need for that. So I love the subject of asking for help. But again, you have to first decide up here in your mind that if I ask for help, it's no indication that I'm a bad mom, I'm making poor choices, I'm selfish, I'm ineffective, I'm unable. You have to kind of just get all that out the window. And it is very eye-opening how much more peaceful your life will be if you could just ask for help. And I love the example of asking for more milk in your coffee because we kind of silence ourselves and say, you know, why would you bother the waiter? Or why would you ask for more of this? Or why would you ask the butcher to cut the meat more thin at the grocery store? But I love that. And I agree because that's me.
One thing that happened to me, and this is to encourage all you moms to know that even Pauliana, me, that are been doing this and coaching for 20 years, we are still learning and doing it. Just a few weeks ago, we went to a restaurant. The food did not taste good, and the waitress came and asked if everything was okay. And my immediate response, guess what, was, yeah, everything is okay. And I was like, no, it's not. I'm not liking this meal. Why I have that precondition of always silence ourselves? So I love what you are saying, and I agree. One of the things I always say is we can have it all, but we cannot do it all. And I think that that has been one of the big problems with motherhood is that we are being brainwashed into to have it all and to be worth it of have it all, you have to do it all. And that is where we get in that sticky place. So, Elena, one of the things that I want to hear from you is when you start doing that journey of being a perfectionist in recovery, like I am, and a type A person, what are some of the things that these moms can do to start practicing easy ways to ask for help so they can start working that muscle in their life? Because the reality is for some of them that muscle is atrophy, like they never use that muscle. So for some of them, when they start using that muscle, it's going to be hurtful and uncomfortable. So what are some of the first steps that they can take?
Well, I think the first step, again, like I said, is just to accept the fact that asking for help is a good thing. It will improve the quality of your family life and it will include your mental well-being. I have a mom right now who's on baby number 3, and the baby's like 6 to 8 months, and she has severe detachment issues to the point where the baby has now been removed from the home. She has 2 other children, and it really makes me sad. But she has just gotten to that point where, and I don't know much about postpartum. Thank God I never dealt with it. I know a lot of women deal with postpartum, but the baby is now with a family member and she sees it, I think for a few minutes a day. The point I'm getting to is the mental health aspect has to be the number one priority. So if your audience members or other women who come across this episode or just generally think like, if they don't do it all, they're a bad mom. I caution them that at some point, that mindset could become very, very damaging to them. So the point is to prevent it from getting that far and that bad. So it's the little things, like even if, you were talking earlier about, making a list of all the things you do. I like to cook and I like to cook every day, but you know what? It doesn't work out that way every day. Sometimes we have a very small window of time to eat because I have to pick somebody up from school and take them across town to a football practice, or my daughter is doing something. So I used to feel bad that we had to eat out. And I really struggled with the guilt. And I was like, you know what? It's not a big thing. Just either get something on the road or pack some snacks in the car or cook dinner the night before so that when we come home after all of our activities are done, we can have a nice meal together. Again, I used to think it was bad to eat out because when I grew up, we never ate out. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And that also is a very other big factor. It's a generational thing. My mom is the greatest woman I know. She's still my hero. She is my role model. She's the most amazing mom ever. But for many, many years of my brother and I's, childhood, she was at home. So I looked at her as my example. Well, I was an attorney. I mean, I still am an attorney, so my job was very demanding, very stressful. It required me to be out of the home. And when I had my children, my world was a little flipped upside down because how do I go back? When do I go back? I mean, I cried every single day for about 30 days when I had to take my son to daycare. I hated it. I mean, I cried and cried every day the minute I dropped him off until I got to my office. And then I would clean my face, put my makeup on in the car, and go to work. But that's what I felt. That's what I knew. So if you can find the little things that will make your life easier once you accept it, like I said, getting help in driving. Driving is a big thing when the kids are old enough because physically you can't be two places at one time. And you're either going to be late, somebody's going to miss a practice, a performance, a game, a lesson, whatever it is, and start talking to the other moms at those activities. You would be surprised. Maybe somebody lives very close by. Maybe somebody, has to drive by your house to get to their house and they can pick up or drop off. But you have to be comfortable creating those relationships. Otherwise, it's kind of strange to ask a stranger for help.
Yeah. And one of the things that, and I will tell you one thing that resonates with that, two things that resonate, because right now I'm not that I was like you, Fortune 500, 100 companies for many years. The other thing that I think is important is that we were talking before is stop trying to switch off the mom role when you get into the office. Start feeling comfortable with talking about those discussions with your boss, with your team. Start feeling comfortable talking about what are the things that you need as a mom from supporting the company. Because one of the things that create a lot of stress for the moms that work in companies is that unfortunately a lot of companies and society is expecting them to perform like if they didn't have children, and that is not possible, but we try to, so we don't feel if we have if the end of the work is around 5 and we have to go and pick up somebody and we promise that we were going to be with the kids or pick up at the daycare, and then a colleague set up a meeting at 4:30. Mamas, have my and Pauliana okay approval to decline the meeting and say, hey, I have two options. I can join, but I want to let you know that at 5 sharp I'm gonna close because I have something else, or I cannot attend this meeting. Because that is what we were talking about, is part of our responsibility, as Pauliana was saying, as a new generation, to start shaping the world to our new reality. to the reality of these super moms that we are doing so many things at the same time. And I will tell you something interesting that happened to me a month or two. I have an Instagram on this. My baby was sick, and the default parent was me. Like it was assumed, my husband is amazing, but even for him it was assumed that I was the one that will change my schedule. I
Oh,
was the one
absolutely.
that would cancel my meetings. I was the one that will figure out with my clients to say, I'm sorry, I cannot coach you to take the baby because he was at work. Like, well, I'm at work too, but because I'm the default parent, it all that load come to me. So when you are thinking about is how we as moms start even talking about it, because sometimes it's almost like a little bit of taboo, right? Sometimes
Oh,
I almost
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the key is how you work your motherhood into your career. I think the way is more important than the what. If you're because I've seen the other extreme, you know, mom's coming in late every day, mom's leaving early, mom's being distracted, mom's being on their phone, and then their productivity suffers. So if you can convince your employer that when you're at work, you're like this amazing, productive, successful, rock star employee, yet you also have another role as a mother, I think it's much easier for them to work with you than if you were constantly distracted by your motherhood. Does that make sense? I mean, I talk about this about learning to love the clock and learning how to break your day. Like, when you're at work, you got to really be at work because I think some moms, like I said, are the other extreme and they're online and they're shopping and they're making doctor's appointments and they're, planning birthday parties and doing other things online, and their employers see that. So if your motherhood distracts you from your profession, it's very difficult for your employers to be sympathetic towards you. But I love the example about the meeting. I still deal with that. Sometimes my office wants to have a meeting like at 4:30. Exactly. I'm like, really, guys? 4:30? Like, I can't. And I've been there for 10 years. But it's this thing like, let's have the meeting at 11. It's the same meeting, the same people. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. It's the same topic. Why does it have to happen at 4:30?
and one
4:30,
thing that I
like,
love.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm already thinking in my head, okay, don't take this freeway, pick somebody up first, then go here. Like 4:30, no meetings, please.
And one thing that I love about that is another thing that I'm very passionate from when I was in an executive in corporate America, is the concept of performance versus time. And
Mm,
that is, and then for us in the United States, I think that we are the ones the farthest behind everybody else in the world, because as more we slowly are starting to understand that it's not about the hours and the time, but the
exactly.
results. So it is, as a mom, feeling comfortable to saying, okay, what are my results? What is expected? What are my objectives? And if I meet that, then it's fine. Because the other thing that can get in the trap is, in order for you to be recognized and in order for you to climb in the corporate ladder, you have to be an overachiever and do way above what it's your job. And that is when
Right.
some moms get stuck, because they are doing their job, but then if they want to keep growing, they need to do more than that. And that is when we start getting in trouble with getting out of that balance that you were talking
Right,
before.
right. No, I agree. Absolutely. But I think, something else you said on is too is, you know, and I know each boss is different. I get that, and but that's just human beings. But I think it's worth having that conversation with your employer and to let them know, look, you're committed, you're dedicated, you're focused, you're loyal, but there's two people at home. There's nothing else you can do. I can't leave my children outside, like, and for them to understand that you recognize your need to do both things and do both things well, But sometimes you just need some compassion, some understanding from your employer, just like sometimes you need compassion, understanding from school, daycare, your family, so that you can meet both needs. I think
Pauliana,
that's key.
I think that I will ask my team to schedule another session with you because I
I
think
would
that
I
because
know. I love that. And we'll do it on a day where we're not in a bomb cyclone. Um,
yeah. But for now, I would love if you can share with our audience around the world if they want to hear a little bit more from you and learn from you, how they can reach out to you, maybe share your website and your Instagram. So if they want to hear more about that balance and joy, how they can reach out.
I would love that. And so, just really quick, because I think we're running out of time, is that if any of your audience members wants to do this, is absolutely free. I charge nothing, 000. If they just want to do a 15-minute phone call because they just need to vent, they want to complain about their mother-in-law, their husband, their babies, whatever they need. If they just put MomFit TV in the subject line, I'll know that they're one of your audience members, and then I'll set up a call with them. So website is paulianalara.com. I don't know if you want to throw it up. I don't know if I can throw it up, but it's just first name, last name.com. Instagram, Pauliana Lara, Facebook, Pauliana Lara. I'm also on LinkedIn, Pauliana Lara. It's very simple, but you and I could do this probably for 5 more hours because the depth of the subject is very real. And some of it is light and some of it isn't. I would love to talk about the shame guilt. We didn't get a chance. I've been on multiple expos and panels, just an hour on shame and guilt. Shame and guilt is very, very real. And I really think it needs to be addressed.
So
So
you all hear
yes,
her,
absolutely.
Pauliana Lara. We are going to have a sequel of this episode with her soon. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so
My
happy that
pleasure.
you're safe. And for everybody else, please know that this show can also be heard in the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram is at unicorn mama coach. For all of the news and programming, spanglishworld.ca, Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it.
Ah,